I'm Debbie Godfrey, and welcome to season 2 of the Positive Parenting Pep Talks podcast, where I'll be answering your questions about positive parenting. So sit back and listen to what some parents have asked and what my suggestions are for them. And please remember to like, subscribe, and share, and give us a great review if you like this Pep Talks podcast. Thank you so much for being here and happy parenting. So, this pep talk today is a continuation of yesterday's pep talk regarding the same child that the parents are trying to get to be more active. And each parent has a different perspective on this. The parent we talked about or talked with yesterday had a more relatable experience to the child. So she could use empathy, she could kind of commiserate, she could use her stance as a very similar type of person to relate to the child. Whereas a step parent that we'll talk to today is different and is bringing a new perspective and new energy. And, I think both are super valuable. And that's what all of us parents have to provide for our kids is differing perspectives. And as you all know, like some of your kids, one of your kids might be like dad, one of your kids might be like mom. And all of that provides contrast and all of it's valuable. And it is no accident that we get the kids we get. Some of them we get to provide new energy to, some of them we get to have our own experience to lend to their lives. And I think that this discussion, while difficult that we had today, is valuable from that standpoint of understanding that there's so many different viewpoints and that we have to really acknowledge everybody's experience in these. I mean, something as simple as what we're talking about today is getting to a child to be more active, looking at um, the experiences of each person involved and really letting that inform how we move forward is so important. So I hope you enjoyed today's talk. I know I did, and I will continue to provide ways to help you in these difficult navigate these difficult types of parenting issues. Thank you so much for being here.
Okay, so let's go back to Karen. Everybody's off mute again, by the way, so we'll just leave it like that unless there's noise. So Karen, go ahead and ask another question.
No, my question was actually on the dog walking thing, and I think that through the process. I'll be honest with you. I feel I'm struggling with the solution, and from what I've heard, the solution is just don't ask him to come with me, and I'm struggling a little bit with that. I'm
okay.
I'm
So tell me.
struggling with that.
So let's look at it from a different standpoint now. So now we're not looking at it from the standpoint of getting him physical exercise. We're looking at it from the standpoint of you and he have time together. What is this, weekly, daily? Let's talk about what is the routine with this time that you spend together.
Baron comes over maybe, we spend, the three of us, sometimes spend weekends together, and then Heidi goes to a lot of meetings in the evening, so I'll spend maybe once a week with him, maybe twice, but generally once a week. And he's, and I'll cook him dinner. Now, I walk the dogs every night, so it wouldn't be anything unusual. It takes about 15 minutes. But he's very happy just coming over, and he just wants to play Wii the whole time, or he just wants to play iPad the whole time. I have kind of taken the healthy role in this relationship. I eat healthy. I'm more active. I'm outside a lot. So my contribution, to him is kind of adding a healthy lifestyle. I guess so personally for me, it's that one time a week where I can actually get him outside because he's not outside the other 6. So that's kind of
okay. So that was
eating
going to be
healthy.
Yeah. My next question is, what's the alternative if he doesn't come to your house? Where is he going to be?
Well, most of it is babysitting, so Heidi can go to meetings. So there isn't an alternative, I guess. I'm not sure what you're asking.
Well, okay, so the alternative is he'll be at a babysitter. So he either gets to go with you or he gets to go to a babysitter this one day, maybe on the weekends, 1 or 2 nights a week, okay? So he has the option of you or with a babysitter.
Actually, Barron's had a babysitter once. Heidi's not really comfortable with the babysitter situation.
Okay, so Heidi, would you stay home from your meeting if you didn't have Karen helping with that?
I would have to, or I could bring him to my father, who has no boundaries, no rules. They watch like rated R. I mean, it's a free for all. 15 pounds of bacon. I mean, Karen, even not even walking the dog, doing nothing with him and letting him just sit on the iPad would be a million times more healthy than bringing him to my father. So, and I think where you might be going, and I'm not sure if I'm presumptuous here, but that, if he only gets to see her once or twice a week, that, I guess her priority is to get her dogs walked and trying to get him engaged in that and be healthy. But for him, that's probably not his ideal. If he only gets to see her twice a week, he probably doesn't find a lot of joy in that. And maybe he just wants to chill and be a kid with her. And I also, and this is getting a little bit into the psychological side, but Karen really feels a lot of responsibility as a step parent, and I think one of the things she really feels that she has to bring to the table is this healthy component, because I'm not that great at that, and it's a real deficiency in my life, and she can really fill that void. But that said, I'm not. Maybe it's even some self-imposed pressure, maybe it's coming from me somehow, or an obligation, but I guess I'm kind of here to say that that's not something that she's still a great step parent, whether or not my son ends up being super healthy around her or not, because that's not her burden. And now it just might be one of the things she feels she needs to do. So I'm not going to be all that upset if my son once a week does play more iPad than normal. He doesn't play it at my house. He doesn't play computers or anything at my house. So one night a week to play hooky, so to speak, isn't the worst thing in the world either for me. So I don't know if that answers any of your questions.
So he has no iPad at home other than when he goes to Karen's?
Correct.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a little problematic then, Karen, because that's like crack.
It's gold. It's I know it's a treasure. I know, and I'm getting into the just to get this kid to have some fresh air. I'll give him the iPad, for the whole night. But then I'm like, gosh,
right, that kind of like really bribery doesn't always work, and if you can look at it as yeah, I mean, if you can look at it as an incentive, sometimes you can do that. But right now, if the fact that he doesn't have an iPad anywhere else concerns me with you being able to do anything without rewarding him with that. And
That's right.
It's just too much, and especially, I mean, just kids in these computer. I'm just so thankful my kids are grown, and this stuff didn't come in until my kids were teenagers. I didn't really have to face it. Because I think it's just so mesmerizing and so enchanting, and it's just so challenging. But what you're doing, I think, is important, and that getting them outdoors is important. And I really love the Fitbit idea, and I think, can you expand on that? Can you incorporate iPad use with outdoor activity by apps and different things that somehow will combine the two? And then, okay, so where I was going with the whole conversation, I was trying to figure out, is there an option, like you can either come to my house and participate at this level in this way with me, or you can choose to stay with a babysitter or go to grandpa's. And it sounds like those two aren't really options. So we're not going to go from that standpoint of that he has an option of participating with you. He will be participating with you. And it's just, you're going to have to win his cooperation in doing more of the things that you want rather than forcing him to. Because you don't have an out. You don't have well, if you choose not to do it this way, then you don't come here. Because that's not an option that any of you are comfortable with. So figuring out a way to win him over in doing more of the things that you think are more healthy and more balanced rather than forcing him to do it, I think is going to be important. So this started off with the dog walking, and again, he's seeing that as almost punishment. just the way he's responding. And so starting over with that one might look like sitting down and saying, hey, let's come up with a routine for when you're at my house. What are all the possible things you can do? And have him brainstorm everything. And, he's going to say, play on the iPad. You're going to say, walk the dog. And just go through all the different possibilities and then try to negotiate some kind of a routine or an agreement about what you're doing. And definitely get the bike riding thing in there. I think something could get expanded from that, since he does like to be on his bike. If you two ride a certain circuit together regularly, there might, at some point in time, you'll be able to let him go on his own. I know he's too young for that now, but there will be a point. And so if you've got a good place and you ride it really frequently, there will be a time when he can do that on his own, and I think that's going to be good for him too. And just start seeing because you're providing this healthy role model, healthy eating, healthy exercise, and the best way that you're doing that is showing him, not telling him. And where you get mucked up is when you start telling him. That's when you get into the power struggles and stuff. So just being, and do you ever get tired, Karen, or don't feel like exercising?
What was that? I'm sorry.
You ever get tired or don't feel like exercising, or have a day where you're like, oh gosh, I'm not going to do it?
I'm not a big exerciser by any means. I also just joined the gym. I like nature and I like the outdoors, and I try to say, I loved your birds idea, but I don't even think Baron will walk on the trail and look at birds. I mean, I feel like I have exhausted everything I could do, to the point of, let's get your roller skates. Maybe we can, ride roller skates together. I mean, I'm trying to come up with fun, creative ways just to not sit in the house. But no,
right.
I don't want to be, I'm definitely not an exerciser. I don't want to be perceived as this crazy athlete, because that's definitely not me. I'm just more athletic than the two of them.
Okay. Yeah, because I just, I could see where he could get frustrated if you were go, 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 and never stop or whatever. So, okay, so you're human,
No,
so that's a good
all.
thing to see.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah. So I would just, try to sit down and negotiate an agreement about your time together, and maybe you piece it up and say, I'm willing for you to have, I don't know how, let's say you're together 2 hours. I'm sure it's longer than that, but I'm willing, how about a half an hour outside, half an hour inside, half an hour on the iPad, and a half an hour we'll do something together. Or, somehow split it up and talk about having a balanced lifestyle. And that's, I think, what, again, the whole point of all of this is to be balanced and not, not just do all of one thing. And that's what's important for him to learn, this balance. And that's what you two are learning as well. So just learn it all together. And again, both of you look for little areas where he can inspire you or lead you. So look for anything that he does that you can acknowledge as as something that he's doing that could be built, that you could build on, or whatever. And again, just keep looking for other ways to make it fun on his terms. Where and look up the geocaching, because that is really cool. Yeah, and see if you can find some other local stuff that he might be interested in. One of my cousins does SCA. It's the Society of Creative Anachronism, and it's that's the kind of nerdy but outdoorsy thing where people dress up in period clothes, like from, I don't know, jousting times and all that. And I went on a few events with her when I was a kid, and it was really fun. And there's just endless possibilities to explore, and that would be more fun than fighting with him over, that he doesn't want to go for a walk or walk the dog or the mundane things. Just searching for other stuff. Yeah.
I'm guessing you found today's pep talk valuable and hopefully it gave you some practical tools and ideas for dealing with your children's behavior. If you'd like to work more deeply on these topics and similar topics, please join me over at my website, positiveparenting.com. I'll put a link in the description box here. I have classes starting all the time, classes that are self-directed where you can listen to lessons on your own time, and also Q&A calls where I answer your questions, just like the parents in these pep talks. So I hope, again, that you will like and share and rate this podcast and help more parents be able to see it and hear it and get help from it. Thanks again and happy parenting.